Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3, Episode 3, A Wanted Inhuman. I definitely enjoyed this episode because we got to see a big focus on Lincoln and his crazy journey after being busted at the hospital and him on the run. Like the first scene of him, he's being chased through the forest. He has a pretty cool show of force in this episode as far as his powers go, which I really loved because I believe I mentioned this before, but like lightning powers have always been my favorite, or they've become my favorite. It was super speed, but now it's this. And I like what they did because when he had like his first showing, it was like him and Daisy working together. It was like, okay, he's shooting lightning, not that big of a deal. But in this one, we got to see him do all sorts of cool stuff. He had like the tower, and he basically made like lightning just rain down, and it looked really cool. We had the scene of him on the bus was pretty sweet. Like that was really simple. I think he just did that to collect power, but it just looked cool. Like the lightning going up the poles and then like shooting back and forth on the ceiling of the bus. That looked pretty sweet. And then when he fought back at the very end of the episode, that was probably my favorite one just because I loved the sort of burns in the carpet because it was like lightning burned into the carpet. I thought that actually looked really cool. So it was a nice show of force as far as his powers go in this episode. His journey in general was very interesting. My favorite scene this entire episode was definitely when his friend died because he was already in this really crappy situation, and then his friend found out that he was actually an Inhuman, and he realized, like, holy crap, like, my friend, this guy that I trust, is actually an alien who's killed people. And it was just a great moment. Like, he was already, like, it was very well acted, and I think that's what made it even better. Because he was already in a horrible situation. Like, I haven't killed anybody, and, like, you don't have to fear me. Like, we're friends. We've been friends for a long time. And when the guy thought he was just human and kind of on the run from whatever, it was like, oh, you did something happen, but you're just my buddy. And then he found out, like, the whole alien thing, and it changed stuff for him. And it was just really, it was a really good scene. And then it's like, look, I'm sorry I got you involved in all this craziness. I don't want you to hate me or be scared of me. And he's just trying to walk away, and his friend has a heart attack, and he can't save him. And I was like, that has to just, suck. Like, it just sucks. Like, all this stuff happens, and then the one person, where it would probably matter the most, like, out of the other people he could have killed, like this, army basically coming after him, he wouldn't kill them, but if he did by accident, it wouldn't nearly have been as big of a deal to him as someone he's known for years. And that was just a really good scene. I was like, that just really sucks. Like, all he wanted to do was hide out, and then all this craziness happens with his friend, and he just wants to leave. He just wants to go and leave his friend behind, and, so, like, you don't have to worry about any of this. And his friend has a heart attack and dies, and he can't save him. I was like, man, that is just a crappy cherry on top of a very crappy day. But it was a great scene just because of, the circumstance of it. Like, it was just well acted. I certainly enjoyed that scene. But it was a crazy journey for his character this entire episode. And then, he goes on the run. He's still on the run now because he does actually escape at the end. And it's like, well, who knows what's going to happen. So, I don't know. Like, it's hard to say. He's kind of just gone. And we'll see how that works out. But it was definitely a great episode for him. He and Daisy actually share a kiss for the first time. So, that means a lot once he actually gets back in touch with S.H.I.E.L.D. But I loved his journey. It was definitely amazing. It was a great story for this episode. It led, of course, to us meeting the head of whatever that other company is, like ARTU or whatever it's called. I can never remember. But we get to see her again. We get to see her amazing looking car. That was actually a really great car. And Coulson couldn't stop looking at it. That was a really funny scene. Her making the jokes about his hand and stuff. That was pretty funny, but we get to see her again, and then it's like she doesn't give up Sky, but they make a pretty interesting deal by the end of this episode where S.H.I.E.L.D, at least Coulson in particular, he's actually going to be sort of an information base for this team. Like, they're going to be using his ideas and his concepts to do whatever they're going to do, which I would assume is hunt, more Inhumans. So that'll be an interesting dynamic for the rest of the show, or for however long it lasts, because I think we all know that something's going to happen. I don't know if this woman will end up dying or something, but this other company is they're gonna disappear. Like, I think we all know that. It might not happen this season. It could, be held off for until like the next season or maybe the season after, but they aren't gonna be there permanently. S.H.I.E.L.D is gonna make its way back to the top, and then maybe it'll be S.H.I.E.L.D versus Hydra again. Who knows? But it should be interesting to see how they play around with that, where Coulson has his team, and then he still, in a sense, basically, he just has to answer to this woman and give her support. So I'm not sure how that's going to play out, especially with their ideals of obviously just capture all Inhumans. But we'll see how it works. We'll see how that plays out. And of course, that's going to affect Coulson's relationship with Daisy because of what this other company does, of course. So we'll see how it works out. But it was very interesting, like him not answering to her and giving her support on, whatever mission that she's doing. And if he doesn't, then they'll just come after S.H.I.E.L.D and they'll try to take down S.H.I.E.L.D and, reveal her to the world. Or maybe not and just kidnap her, because that makes it a lot easier for them. But who knows how that'll play out too. But also very interesting. Nice little twist at the end. Like, the whole stuff with Lincoln was a twist. Like, he had to give him up, then he escapes. It's like, we're going to take S.H.I.E.L.D. Well, I can't let that happen, so now I have to, in a sense, give up myself. But I enjoyed that. That was definitely really cool. And like I said, it would be cool to see where they take things with that, because they aren't exactly enemies, but obviously they haven't exactly been on the best terms in any of the times that they've met. So we'll see how it plays out. But it was a nice little twist at the end there. And then we have our other two stories. Once again, one is going towards Hydra, with Hunter and May going to this crazy sort of fight club thing happening. That was actually pretty cool. I thought it was really funny that Hunter cut his hair that way, because that's a very British style of haircut, and he went like full British in this episode. And I thought that was so funny because he had like the tracksuit and everything. I was like, that is like very generic British, and you can see it a lot. It's like very it's very generic British thug. Like, that is seriously what they look like. And I just thought that was kind of funny. Like, he had the hairstyle and he had the whole tracksuit like all zipped up to his neck and everything. I was like, I've definitely seen that in a lot of British stuff. So I thought that was kind of funny. And then we have him. I never realized how skinny he was until that fight scene, to be totally honest. I was like, man, he is really, really skinny. And so he's like just bloodied and skinny at the end of the episode. He actually did end up, they said the other guy wasn't breathing, so he did end up killing that guy to survive. And he does get his end with Hydra, and he's gonna, make his way up to the top and eventually try to take out Ward. But we even get a cool fight scene with May with these three guys, and she naturally just destroys them. So, no surprise, but definitely awesome. She did a really cool move where she had one guy's arm, and she basically jumped up and spread her legs open just to grab, like, squeeze her legs around his stomach and flip him. I've never seen that before. I was like, that was a really cool move, because normally you just don't see that. So, great fight scene with her. Hunter was just getting tossed around the whole time until he used the brass knuckles. I was like, man, he is just being destroyed. He's getting punched like crazy. The guy was slamming him into the wall because he was so easy to pick up. He tossed him on a table and all this other stuff. I was like, man, he is really getting messed up. I honestly wasn't too sure that he was going to win. But he pulls out the brass knuckle, takes the guy down, and just bloody and skinny at the end. Bloody British skinny dude at the end. But he does make it through, and he does encounter Ward's second in command, or maybe third. I don't know how he's doing it with, ranks and all that crap. But we do get to see the guy that was with Ward the last time we saw him. So Hunter's got his way in. I don't know how that's going to play as far as him bringing May into things. Maybe he'll just tell her, like, this is what's happening, and that's just how it's going to work. But he's got his way in now, and I doubt he's going to have to do any more crazy fight clubs. But the big question I have is how long is it going to take for him to find Ward? Because it's not like Ward is at the top of this giant Hydra corporation anymore. He started things from the ground up. And the last time we saw him, he was driving the car, through past all those people. He was recruiting every individual person himself. So it's not like he just has so many people and so many things to do that he can't possibly meet one new person. So I'm wondering how long it's really going to take before they actually encounter each other. Like, I know he sent this guy that one time for, like, the Fight Club stuff. so he could be somewhere else, and he could easily be like in another country, with his resources. But I don't know. It's like I feel like with where they are right now, it shouldn't take them too long to get to Ward. So I'm looking forward to that. I feel like they are gonna hold it off somehow, just because that's gonna be a really big encounter. But I'm hoping it's much sooner rather than later, because I really want to see how that plays out. Because they're going in there, they just want to kill Ward. Like, there is no, we're gonna take you back and arrest you. Hunter wants him dead, and May has probably wanted him dead for quite a bit longer. So, this isn't a kidnapping thing or arresting thing. They want Ward dead. So I'm definitely looking forward to however this storyline plays out, because I don't think Ward's going to actually get killed off. So who knows how they're going to do it. But that was definitely cool. We had the set with Fitz-Simmons in this episode. Very nice. It's always great, their storylines. And now that we have Simmons back, it's like her... Not only does she mention that she needs to go back at the end, which was like, holy crap, I don't know if she needs to save somebody or something, maybe, or she wants to just defeat whatever caused her so much fear for all those months. But she wants to go back. Even before that, it's like everything now is different for her because her body adjusted to... we find out, they give like the smallest amount of information, but they do mention that it was actually heavier gravity, which is interesting. Lower oxygen levels, and they mentioned like there was some flora but no fauna, and flora is like flowers, I believe, and fauna are animals. Hopefully I didn't mix those up, so it's one or the other. I'm assuming it was I do believe flora is like flowers and stuff like that, and fauna are creatures. But she was on the run and for all this time, and then they just have some really good scenes with her and Fitz, and I just really enjoyed it. And, he's walking her around the office, and they're holding hands and stuff, which really kind of doesn't mean too much in this episode. It's just that he was kind of really doing everything he could to help her adjust and make her feel comfortable. And so it's like just noises, like things vibrating, affect her a lot, because it's just sounds that she hasn't heard in so long. And just, with the way things work, different gravity and oxygen levels, certain things can be picked up easier now because her body isn't struggling as much. It's kind of going back and readjusting to regular Earth atmosphere, which should be like nothing. I mean, heavier gravity might seem like nothing, but that could be a really big deal. That has a huge toll on your body. It's a very different thing. Like being in space with less gravity really affects how your blood system works and everything, and it affects your eyesight and all sorts of stuff. So, it's a very different way of living, her having been gone for 6 months on this planet with higher gravity, which you're used to gravity and it gets worse. I can only imagine how that might feel. But I thought that was really good. Then they have the amazing scene when they were at the restaurant, and she kind of just breaks down at the wine. I'm assuming it's because it was like blood, but that was just a really good scene. It was like, man, she's just really broken down. It was like Fitz was in the last season. So it's just really good. Like, I love what they're doing. Both their characters always well acted, and now we have this opportunity to see exactly what this planet was and what it was all about. So I'm looking forward to that, because it was just pretty crazy that she said that, like, I have to go back, and she can barely handle just standing around on Earth. So who knows what she needs to go back for, if it is to save something or if it's to just face this fear that she had for 6 months. Now that she knows, well, I have people that know how to get me back to Earth. I'll defeat this thing and conquer that fear that I have and get back. But it was definitely pretty crazy, and I can't wait to see what they do with that more than any other storyline. Now that she's put that in there, and just the way that those two characters are played, I've always loved them so much. So now we have Simmons, who isn't herself either, and then Fitz, of course, hasn't been himself since the first season. So it's like, it's just amazing watching these two characters change, and now they're both together, and they're both different than they used to be. And Fitz is a little bit back to normal, and I wish I could remember what word it was. His antithesis. He was like, you notice I was able to say that. I thought that was a nice scene. But he's a little bit back to his normal self, but it's not 100% him, because he's gone through being so different and trying to get back the woman that he loved. So he's not in the same, silly, funny mental state that he used to be. And with Simmons coming back and her being so different than she used to be, he can't just revert back to his old ways because neither of them are going to be the same like they used to. So, love the way that those characters have played out. Like this episode in general, I thought it was actually really fun. I think personally this is probably the best episode they've had this season. I know it's only been a couple, but this is definitely a fun episode. I enjoyed the last one, the stuff, with Ward and everything, but this one was just really good. Like, we get Simmons back, and it was just great to see how all of that played out and how she's so distraught. But for some reason, she has to go back. So, looking forward to this new planet. Whenever they do it, I feel like they're going to wait till, like, after the mid-season finale to actually let us see what this planet is all about, because it's a different planet. But I'm still looking forward to it. However it's going to play out, should be entertaining. They could not do the plan until the end of the season, and I think we'll still be in love with, like, the whole Fitz-Simmons dynamic for this season. But either way, I want to know what you guys thought about this episode. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, your least favorite parts, and of course, with Simmons having come back and her trying to readjust to everything that's happened and wanting to go back to this planet, I want to know why you guys think she wants to. Is it because she wants revenge on this thing that's hunted her for so long? Is it because she wants to save something else? Why does she want to go back? I don't think it's just scientific experiments. She has to go back for something. So, I don't know. Like, those are my things. I can't really pick one. I would assume if it's anything, it's because she wants revenge. But at this point, she doesn't seem like she doesn't have, like, that sort of angry drive to me. But that could still be the case. I don't know. But I want to know what you guys think, so please comment below and let me know. And thanks for watching.